There is news, there is sense, and there is nuisance. This show is all about that last bit. Manisha is on a much-deserved long break after our super hectic election coverage, thanks to you. It was your support, because of which we are super proud of the ground reports that the News Minute and the Newslaundry teams jointly did. Our election coverage was funded by you, and I do hope you will keep supporting us and pay to keep news free. The link for the subscription, paid subscription, is in the description. So please subscribe for the joint News Minute Newslaundry subscription. So chalo, election is done. New government is in place. And for much of the news media, there is clarity ki bhai, for the next 5 years, kisko salute karna hai and who has to be served and who has to be asked tough questions. Opposition. Sabke paas ye clarity nahi hoti that news must serve the public and not the government. Governments always expect that news should serve them because they have power.
पता है ना आप सबको? नहीं पता है, कहाँ पता है?
Now look at Chandrababu Naidu. As soon as he came to power, one of the first things that happened was 4 news channels were taken off air. The Delhi High Court intervened and they are back on. But it gives you an idea what politicians do. See, politicians in power always want the news media to serve them. It's up to us in the news business to push back and say, no. We serve the public, we don't serve you. We ask tough questions of the government, not the opposition. Which brings me to today's theme. New government in power. This is the 4th government Newslaundry has seen in its lifetime. First UPA 2, then Modi 1, then Modi 2, and now NDA. And our job will be to remain the same. We will not waver. So today's episode is dedicated to the naysayers and doubters who keep asking, where were you when ... So dear subscribers and supporters, when someone asks you that, send them this episode and tell them, elections done, votes cast. You did what was your duty as a citizen. You cast your vote. Now do your duty as a citizen and as a news professional and question those in power for the next 5 years. Will you do it? Or will you remain a Ji Huzur wala for the next 5 years? So let's take a walk down memory lane. When Congress-led UPA was in power, Newslaundry tab kya kar raha tha?
I just want to say Manmohan Singh's a bad speaker, and I think it's fantastic how actually Congress often use it to their advantage, because yesterday Manmohan Singh spoke at the CII summit to like lower expectation that dude, it can't get worse.
Look what the best minds have brought India to in the last decade. Declining economy, corruption, scams, and they have the honor of pissing off the whole spectrum of the people of India.
Again, that whole thing that if you want to change anything, contest election. And Mani Shankar Iyer wants a bit off. Why are you talking contest election? If Anna says anything, why are you talking contest election? If Anna says anything, why are you talking contest election? Shut up, dude. Everyone does not a contest election.
But it isn't really plural, because then you have news organizations who are blatantly pro-Congress. How the Union Law Minister of the country has nothing better to do than host this hell Kapil. Even your SMS haiku is better than this. Rahul, your party has been decimated. You are the worst thing to happen to the Congress party.
Remember the time when it was Amit Shah, the Home Minister, who was being investigated by central agencies who report to him now? It was Chidambaram who was a union minister and not the other way around. Chahe sarkar Modi ji ki ho ya Manmohan ji ki. We were doing then what we are doing now. Calling out the news media and questioning those in power. We didn't take ads back then and we don't take ads now. Some people were taking public funds through ads then also, and they're doing it now also.
The Congress Party's self-hooting campaign about how great they are began with the Bharat Nirman ads this week on all the good work the Congress Party is doing. Included in these gems is that they have now organized village squads who snoop around looking for people pooing in the open. No one in India is allowed to poo outside. The village squad, as they call them, will come and grab you. Please tell me, if you, the Congress Party, had built enough toilets in villages in the multitude of generations you have been in power, why would anyone want to poo in the open? First, give us the toilets, then spend money on village squads. It would only take a village to arrive around Parliament, poo in the open until their villagers were given toilets. It would just take a village. and a lot of stink to introduce our Congress to the realities of life in India. Now, let's look at what are Bharat Nirman, the Congress party, and the expensive advertising company getting the 180 crore account up to. According to party spokesperson Neem Afzal, 100 crores will be spent on the Bharat Nirman advertisement campaign, which will run through this year into April-May next year. Is this taxpayers' money? Just asking.
स्कोर क्या हुआ? हाँ जी? स्कोर क्या स्कोर होगा अंकल? बैटिंग पे 4 भाई साहब ने बॉलिंग ले ली है और ऊपर से सिर्फ एक पार्ट टाइम स्पिनर लेके उतरे मैदान में. हद है.
एक्चुअली कैप्टन ने आपसे नहीं पूछा ना क्या करना चाहिए.
नहीं जी, उन्हें बुकी से पूछा. और किससे पूछेगा?
देखिए भाई साहब, हम लोग तो आर्मचेयर क्रिटिक्स हैं. जब देश में पहली बार कंप्यूटराइजेशन आया, लोगों ने क्या बाउंसर नहीं मारे, कहा ले डूबेंगे, नौकरियां नहीं रहेंगी, और आज देखिए इन भाई साहब का टिकट तक ये मोबाइल पर है.
As we all know, the internet and telecom industry did extremely well when the government was not in the game. As soon as they stepped in, all hell broke loose. Along with that came the corruption.
भाखड़ा नंगल डैम तो याद है ना जनाब? कितने झूठे पड़े थे सरकार को. कहते थे कि पानी से बिजली खींचोगे तो पानी की ताकत खत्म हो जाएगी, और इसी ने ग्रीन रिवोल्यूशन का सिक्सर लगा दिया.
Dams, yes, but if built humanely. In the Narmada area, over 1 million people were displaced and their livelihoods affected by living away from the river. If the government had taken care of that, no problem. But they didn't, and there was corruption even in the rehabilitation. That the Bharat Nirman ad does not tell you. And what happened to the green revolution?
In 2 days, 94 farmers will commit suicide. About 600 will attempt it. 6 to 7 times the number of people who succeed will actually attempt suicide. If you take the period between 1991 census and 2001 census, 8 million farmers have quit farming. That's about 2,200 a day that are quitting farming.
वैसे राइट टू इन्फॉर्मेशन तो दिया है सरकार ने.
Sorry madam, सरकार ने नहीं दिया. RTI हमारा हक है, और अरुणा रॉय और अरविंद केजरीवाल ने 10 साल काम करके उनसे निचोड़ा है.
सब सरकार की तरफ से बैटिंग कर रहे हैं क्या? नहीं बेटा, इंडिया की तरफ से.
Right. How could we ever forget the India is Indira, Indira is India campaign?
अब तू ही बता, इंडिया जीत रहा है कि नहीं? जीत रहा है अंकल.
Mind it, uncle. Last time a political party tried to sell us shining India, the sun was no longer shining for them. The BJP reportedly spent between 500 to 700 crores for ads. Please learn, the Indian public has bullshit meters stuck on their heads, and these meters run on our own power, not the kind you send us with power cuts.
Now, way before people were calling out the BJP for their Border Quadi Popper ad, we were calling out the Congress for their Bharat Nirman ads. And we continue to call out governments who spend crores on ads, crores of public funds. No matter who does it, देख लो हमारी coverage. And Newslaundry तब भी मीडिया की धुलाई वैसे ही कर रही थी जैसे आज कर रही है.
You know, NDTV, it seems, perceives themselves as this. Hate to break it to you, but the Aam Janta riff-raff rabble sees you as this. And we see you as this. Since we are on the you see, they see, we see subject, Times Now and Arnab sees himself as this.
I am the law. I never broke the law. I am the law.
The viewer Janta sees him as this.
Blah 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 blah. Listen up, don't be rude. Blah 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 blah. No bad attitude.
And we see him as this. IBN and Sagarika see themselves as this.
आदमी की तरह पानी पीने के लिए पहले झुककर हाथ फैलाने पड़ते.
The Aam Janta see you as this.
Well, guys, just right now I'm editing Awesome Skillmas. Yeah.
And we don't see.
Meanwhile, गरजते हुए अर्नब जैसे लोग तब भी opposition पर ही गुस्सा हो रहे थे. Only difference was that then opposition was BJP.
One minute, Arnab.
Are you encouraging citizens to take the law into their hands?
Please.
Never, ever say something as ridiculous as you've taken now.
बेटा अर्नब, तेरी बहादुरी तो हमने पिछले 12 साल से देखी हुई है यार. कहाँ तुम ऐसे गरजते थे बीजेपी वालों पर, बट नाउ दैट द बीजेपी इज इन पावर तूने पलटी मार ली. अब आफ्टर नीट एग्जाम फियास्को what he wants from students is that no one impacted should take this up with the sarkar.
Students, your intentions are pure. Your battle is pure. Your heart is pure. Your effort is pure. And students, your achievements are pure. Don't let Rahul Gandhi, Robert and Priyanka Vadra use you. The youth of this country do not need a 54-year-old politician with a grudge to be their messiah.
कमाल है. If opposition won't take this up, who will? अब जनाब जहापना से ऐसे सवाल करते मिलते हैं.
पूछता है भारत, नेशन wants to know, आप इतने रिलैक्स्ड कैसे रहते हैं?
अर्नब, कभी आप भी रिलैक्स लगो यार. Don't look so angry and upset all the time. Now from the original Arnab, let's come to the सस्ता वाला Arnab, उर्फ RSS. We call him Arnab Light. See, RSS has always been our aankhon ka tara, whether it was the UPA era or the NDA era.
But let's not be too critical. Sometimes it's quite hard to find adequate content and people to interview and get bites from. It's an oft-used device. So Barkha, tell us.
What was the genesis of this crisis? That's right, Vasu. According to Congress sources,
And Headlines today has the same high-tech reporting style.
Very significant piece of legislation that could perhaps alter the legal topography of this country.
These two locations are one wall or one floor apart, so you have no guest and not much to say. Your reporter or anchor is bursting at the seams to say something, anything. What do you do?
राहुल इतना प्यारा. अरे ये वाला राहुल नहीं यार. अरे ये ना यार. हाँ ये वाला. See, इतना innocent सा लगता है. No दाढ़ी, काले बाल, baby fat round the cheeks, चोचवीत, and not so full of venom and poison, but full of bakwas then also. Back then he was on Headlines Today, जिसको आजकल India Today gold standard कहते हैं. तो basically he has done the rounds of every channel. News X, Headlines Today, Times Now, News 18, Next Stop Republic. Would love to see Arnab Light and Arnab Main in the same frame. Back then in the UPA government, India Today was called Headlines Today, and we used to do full dhulai then also. But surprisingly, they never sued us or took us to court. I wonder why.
We had Botai Karan Thapar dealing with the most important issue in this election.
So as the election nears its climax, what should we make of Narendra Modi's sartorial style or Rahul Gandhi's apparent indifference?
Karan, we know you changed channels, but what's this? And who made up his illustrious panel?
My guests are the best-selling author and columnist Shobha De, one of the country's best-known fashion designers Ritu Kumar, and our premier marketing guru and himself a very neat dresser, Sohail Seth.
Well, at least that makes sense. What doesn't make sense, though, is how the devil's advocate has become the diva's advocate. And who better to comment on fashion but Karan?
I'll wear your granddad's clothes. I look incredible. I'll wear your granddad's clothes. I look incredible.
Which one's our favorite? It's a tie. And Karan Thapar learnt a new word and he decided to use it.
Let's start with Mr. Modi's sartorial taste, sartorial style, sartorial appearance. Sartorial appearance, sartorial elegance. The two sartorial appearances
trademark their sartorial elegance.
Sartorial flourishes.
Out of sartorial elegance. Forget the sartorial stuff.
At least he redeemed the show with some interesting questions.
One of the impressions, Sohail said, that people have formed of Rahul Gandhi is that he can't seem to make up his mind whether he wants to grow a beard, whether he wants to be clean-shaven, or whether he wants to carry designer stubble.
If you look at young men who go out to a day's work in villages, in our rural areas, the mother will always say, ki arey daadi nahi banai, arey shave nahi ki. People will say, I mean, what kind of a guy is this guy who can't even put razor to face?
Oh, no. Did he just say that?
Madhu, it gets worse.
No, it couldn't.
Watch.
Do you think if Mr. Modi becomes Prime Minister that the half-sleeved kurta could become a fashion trend in India?
The bow tie hasn't. So why should half-sleeved kurtas?
He certainly is extremely proud of his 56-inch chest. Rahul Gandhi, on the other hand, has obvious dimples. which of the two is going to be more appealing to the 49% of Indian women voters?
Or Karan Thapar's piercing, razor sharp, incisive, to the point journalism?
Are you worried when you see him sometimes in profile in interviews sitting on a chair that he's acquiring a 56-inch waist?
No, Karan. We're worried about you and what Shobha has to say about Modi's 56-inch chest.
Future Prime Ministerial candidate boast about his 56-inch chest. How would it be if, say, a female candidate talked about her D cup?
We can't believe Karan Thapar did a whole show on this. Either he lost a bet, or is this Rahul Kanwal's way of showing Karan his place? You do the fluff.
Back then, Karan Thapar had a show on India Today or Headlines Today, whatever you want to call it. But coming back to Rahul, those days he would not do Haka noodle chow mein type nonsense. He would do other kind of nautanki. Lekin Chinoy Seth, nautanki karna, to hamari purani aadat hai.
Abhinandan, Karan, from his vantage point, will explain more about the situation and what is happening on the spot, many miles away. Abhinandan? Karan?
Here, Madhu, why this happens is, and this device is often... Can you hear me?
Yeah, yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
It's very faint here where I am.
Oh.
Just a second.
I think the signal is... Audience ko pata chal gaya. Chal hat.
Back then, jab meri bhi daadi kali thi, we used to have these people who sounded almost reasonable and who now spout bile-filled hatred, Rahul Roshan Ranga types. They have sat with us in this very studio, very soft-spoken and coyly criticizing the UPA government and Congress. In fact, their criticism was more careful and guarded than ours. Kyunki UPA se to dar lagta tha na. And cowards tend to be meek and timid in their criticism of the governing class. No matter who's in power, they only show their true colors when their side comes in power, because they do have a side.
You know, he speaks more like an AAP karyakarta rather than a prime ministerial candidate of Congress.
AAP being Aam Aadmi Party.
Yeah, Aam Aadmi Party. Content was always a problem with him, right? And it remains. Right. So my assessment, if we ignore content, his performance has improved.
Kapil Sibal, the architect of the IT Act, his father defended Sadat Hasan Manto in a court case where he had to go to Lahore and travels. I mean, it's a delightful instance where he won. He won, and there was, you can say there's nothing inflammatory about.
So this is what is striking, that for political gains,
society has changed in 60 years, and now what we're having is politicians and leaders saying what my father did or defended someone. I'm not going to go that far. If you find this cartoon egregious, let me remove it from this thing.
I mean, like PMO, the Twitter handle, they asked everyone to contribute ideas for the next plan. Now
for the 12th five-year plan.
That hashtag you're with something, I've forgotten the hashtag also. But when you are doing something like that and then you also invite Amir Khan, then that's a different thing. You are given an equal platform to everyone in a way, and then you are also inviting Amir Khan. But as you rightly pointed out, that only inviting Amir Khan and ignoring everyone else who has been doing something in this area, in this field, that's of course is bizarre.
I mean, in all humility, I think freedom of speech and expression has to do a lot with a philosophy, that we can have at a different level, which is why I lament slow death of science in this country. Because a true scientist actually is completely free, okay? And that is the reason why I got so aggravated with what Justice Kabir said.
On the other hand, हम तब भी वैसे ही थे, दिल खोल कर बोलते थे, जैसे कि आज बोलते हैं.
And if you're from the Congress, you believe that the universe revolves around the sun. No, not that sun. This sun. After all, it's not the earth that's holding Rahul. It's Rahul that holds the earth in place.
In fact, Manishankar Iyer went a bit off. For someone who has never won an election, I mean, he has won an election, he hasn't contested one now. When Azim Premji said that this policy analysis, why are you talking contest election? If Anna says anything, why are you talking contest election? If anyone says anything, why are you talking contest election? Shut up, dude, everyone does not a contest election.
Newslaundry decided to take a walk in India Today's shoes, so we present Manmohan's cabinet, 24 hours, 24 decisions.
So here is the Newslaundry Congress versus BJP contest.
जिगर में कितना है दम दम के रखना कदम मेरे साथिया आ देखे जरा
The only losers there are us. In case you thought it would be a political party.
Us time par these people used to sit next to us and criticize the government. Today, it's their job to defend the most hideous acts, the most ugly injustices, as long as it is their BJP wala government.
Modi has delivered. The problem is cacophony of elections. जैसे 1.5 घंटे की उन्होंने स्पीच दी, उसमें से 2-3 वर्ड्स निकाल लिए. एक वर्ड निकाल लिया मुजरा, एक वर्ड निकाल लिया मंगलसूत्र, एक उसी पे हफ्ते घुसपैठिया. People ignore the other 1 hour of the talk he is given where he has talked about his development that has happened.
चाइना की तरह हमें करना भी पड़े वो भी मुझे चलेगा. This is a controversial statement, but I am willing to give it. चाइना तो गूगल, फेसबुक, ट्विटर सब बैन कर देता है. अगर हमें चाइना की तरह करना पड़े तो वैसा करना चाहिए. लेकिन we have to safeguard our interest.
You need an Israel-like solution to Kashmir.
I don't think water cannons should be used against Punjab farmers. Water is precious, and it's winters too. Tear gas is better option. Having burned stubble, they should be fine with the smoke.
Undoubtedly, Modi is one of the strongest and most powerful leaders in India and abroad.
If you are powerful, you are hated. I mean, as you know, New York Times and Washington Post don't go after the president of Papua New Guinea, do they? But they've been relentlessly after Narendra Modi.
We have and always will call out the media and those in power because we are funded by you, not sarkari ads, not any large corporations. Good time to remind you that just because the election is over doesn't mean you can all go to sleep. Ab the real work starts. Ground reports from across the country on civic issues, public interest issues, and issues that impact you. Political slugfest is done for a short while. So please go to newslaundry.com and subscribe and pay to keep news free. And while you're there, you can contribute to our new NL Sena project, where we want to do a series of reports and investigation on the NEET and NET exam fiasco. Journalism means getting to the bottom of this, not brushing it aside like some Nautanki Walas do. We don't change our alliances depending on who's in the government, because fighters remain fighters and darbaris and cowards remain darbaris and cowards no matter who's in power. We serve you, the public, because when the public pays, the public is served. And we have been holding a mirror to the media for over 12 years now. Many of you may not have been consuming media for that long, and many of you may have forgotten that while the independence of news media in India was never great, never, it was not insane and so vile. News anchors were meek and cowardly, but they did not actively push hate and endorse disgusting injustices like they do now. It was not always the same.
हाँ, हम बुरे पत्रकार हैं.
बहादुरी तब भी नहीं थी, लेकिन कायरता के नाम पे थोड़ी बहुत इंसानियत थी. To say it in English, they were not brave even then, but in the guise of cowardice, they were at least a semblance of humanity. That has gone. Anchors actively push hate. So I'd recommend go watch our old shows between 2012 and 2014 when the UPA and Congress was in power, and you'll see how much has changed. And I don't mean कि we have got azadi, no matter what Kangana ji may say. We at Newslaundry have always been azad from corporate or government ads, चाहे वो UPA हो या NDA, Manmohan ji ho ya Modi ji, and you can keep us that way. Support our team and help us grow over the next few years, because if there are so many news platforms serving the government and advertisers, there should be one serving you too, no? That should not be running on government ads. That should be running on your contributions. So subscribe, share this video with everybody, and pay to keep news free. And most importantly, stay mad, because that's the only way.